Welcome back to Occasional Randomness. I'm your host, Eric Scott, and joining me, as always, my fellow co-host, someone who loves a good virtual reality game, Jason Johnson.
Wait, are we back? Is this the show? Are we still in the game? Anyone have a top?
Yeah, are you the real Jason or are you the artificial Jason? Which it's hard to tell.
Which one has the least workload tomorrow? Because I'll be whichever one that is.
Yeah, it's a whole new meaning to work from home.
Yeah. Who's home?
Yeah, who's on first? Wait, no. All right, on today's podcast, just the one Farscape episode as we're in the middle between the next Marvel show or two coming out. So we will be doing Farscape Season 4, Episode 7, Don Quixote. And probably next time we'll do the next one since I think it will still be just before the next Marvel show comes out. Depending on vacations and whatever else, we'll see where we get. So
Yeah. I mean, you could always just do a live stream of, the Star Wars game you're playing now. That would always be a thing, right?
yeah, I think I've probably put in, I don't know, 30, no, not that many, maybe 20 hours of Star Wars Outlaws already. So, and it's only been out for 4 days. Yeah, so
Could be worse. You could have been at 96 hours or something. So
yeah, actually, now that I think about it, it's probably more than maybe it's like 30 hours. Anyway, yeah, so just a little bit, but it's good. So if we give game recommendations here, I highly recommend it if you have the horsepower to run it or go to Xbox.
which leaves me out. Womp womp.
I'm sure they'll make a Switch version. No, they won't.
No, no. If they did, it'd be the new version of Switch that I don't have. So, yeah.
Right. Be a PC slapped to a controller. Yeah. Anywho, we digress. So, as always, our little PSA here. If you like what we do here, please give us a like or a review wherever you listen to this at, or better yet, tell your friends, neighbors, coworkers, random folks on the internet. We don't care. Spread the word. Let them know how wonderful we are, and it's wonderful, interesting discussions that we'll get into here. We'd appreciate it. Alrighty. So let's jump on into Farscape Season 4, Episode 7, Don Quixote.
That name's going to be really important to the story, right?
Yeah, I better figure out how to pronounce it properly because I'm just going to say it so many times here coming up. Not. All right, so we open with on Moya, where Sikozu is visiting Scorpius in his little room slash cell, and she brought Crichton's chessboard and asked if he fancies a game. So I guess they both know how to play chess. Anyway. Meanwhile, Chiana and Zhaan are on a transport pod coming back to Moya, and Chiana's holding on to something. She's like, "Look at this! Oh, porn!" she says to Zhaan. But Zhaan doesn't care. He's zoned out, thinking about Aaron and the Scorpius situation. Chiana manages to snap him out of it and says he has to try this. "The Aaron in your head can wait," she says. Zhaan says that what she has is, this game she has looks like some kind of sick root, but she says no, it's an organic matrix, reality games, simulations, or as we would call it now, VR.
So he's going to learn Kung Fu?
Yeah, right. Back on Moya, Scorpius and Sikozu are playing chess, and Scorpius says, if you were to open the door, we could play properly. Zhaan, meanwhile, goes over to Chiana, who's playing the game, but on the outside world is just sitting there shaking, completely vulnerable to anything or any probable attack. Totally out of it. Zhaan calms Moya to get the fix on their position, but Dargo answers, tell him about Scorpius, Narati says. We're having a small problem with Scorpius, Dargo says, as Chiana then puts Zhaan in the game, despite him wanting to wait. So we cut to in the game, where Zhaan is in his Peacekeeper outfit. Well, Chiana tells him to wait for it. This way, somebody calls out in a familiar voice, you have to hurry. It's Galena, which you might remember as PK Tech Girl from Season 1.
Wow, a little bit of a callback
I
there.
know, going way back. And as Zhaan tries to make sense of it all, Scorpius appears, aiming his gun at Zhaan. Chiana says that they're on the Gamic base, also from Season 1. When suddenly, I'll save you, a voice screams out, and up pops Stark, but he's wearing his mask on his other side of his face, and he's got a huge gun and fires it at Scorpius. Suddenly the whole game changes, and they're in some kind of fantasy world, with Chiana in a jester's outfit with a pointy hat, and Zhaan in a Spanish knight's outfit complete with sword and shield. And there's your only reference visually to the Quixote of the title. We're done with that.
Yeah, that was important. No.
Yeah. Chiana says they shouldn't have just switched levels like that, but Zhaan thinks someone's messing with them. I'm sure there's really some good technobabble explanation. John cuts Chiana off. You know what? It's a good explanation, Chiana. We got a problem with Scorpio and Moya, and we gotta get out of here. Help, help! Suddenly a voice cries out from atop a Rapunzel-like tower nearby. It's Erin, only she's blonde and wearing a princess outfit. Now I know someone's messing with us, John says. And Chiana tells him just to say he wants out. It's a standard override. So he tries that several times, and it doesn't work. And then suddenly, from the tower, a television set drops onto John's head. So shades of Roadrunner and Acme here, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of what I thought. A little bit of throwback to that Looney Tunes episode.
So Chiana goes to see if John's okay, and luckily his helmet protected him, although a piece of shrapnel from the TV is stuck out of it, or in it. Stark is there and says, he's everywhere. I'm Stark, your avatar, your guide, the game embodied. Stark says that all the players are supposed to begin at the Gamic base. Chiana says that the auto out did not work, and Stark replies with, oh dear. They explain to Stark that they're on a transport pod outside the game and want out, but Stark says that the auto out could be broken. Chiana pins him up against a wall for questions. Who's the designer of this game? She asks. Yachty? A neural template? Stark says, yours truly, and an infusion of the dead John Crichton's memories, Stark replies. He explains that they've backdoored into a part of the game that should not even exist. So I guess you're kind of stuck, I think, he adds. John again reminds Chiana about Scorpius, remember him back on the real world, and she says that the brain damage and death is very rare in this kind of game. Stark finds the game manual and discovers two ways out. Either kiss the princess or leave through a green door. Stark gives John 3 vouchers, little balls that will answer one question if John squeezes it. Stark then tells him that the tower is up, but up is down, and to follow the path through Fairy Town. Stark leaves, leaving them to play the game. John spots what looks like a trail leading to a tiny door on the wall. And away we go. So through the door they go, and they end up in a parking garage. Okay. They spot a van rumbling along, and out steps a big, bald, blue guy, basically a male version of Zhaan, who does introduce himself as Pau Soto Zhaan, a 10th level Delvian priest. He tells them that he'll hurt them because they're invading his parking space. When Chiana points out that John's hurt, well, he's going to be more hurt if he tries to kiss the princess. The ogre will get him. Ogre? John asks, as the male Zhaan then stomps on his foot and punches him in the stomach. He does rip the piece of shrapnel out of John's helmet, and soon after, in his van, Zhaan prepares the cure. Chiana throws the first cure away because it's acid, so Zhaan provides the real cure instead, and Chiana gives it to John. John sits up and screams, and falls back down again. Zhaan starts shouting that the ogre is here, and drives off, only stopping in another part of the parking garage to kick Chiana and John out and speed off. So John and Chiana follow another trail, but in the front of them stands a black knight, Rigel. None shall pass, he proclaims. John talks to him, suggesting that he's King Arthur of Camelot, and Chiana is his vassal, Patsy. So, shout out to my Python and the Holy Grail. Bollocks, Rigel says, adding that John's a pimped up fleshy who wants to go where none shall pass. Let's just kill him, Chiana suggests. But John says no, they just go around him instead. None shall pass, Rigel repeats. When they attempt to go around him, Rigel turns around and blows fire out of his behind. Chiana distracts him and jumps over the flames, sliding along the floor with sword out front, causing him to explode. John asks if she sees the path, but she says no. John again yells at Chiana because Scorpius is out there causing troubles on Moya, and they have to get back there. Chiana says, well, they need a green door, so just ask one of the voucher balls where one is. So John uses one, and Stark appears as an image in Rigel's flames. He just recites the same riddle he said before, and disappears. John calls for him to come back, but Chiana figures it out. Follow the path, she says. Well, the path ends right here. So they go through the door on the floor and arrive in a house made of candy, like a freakish version of Hansel and Gretel. What are you doing here? Asks Dargo. But it's not really Dargo. He's kind of dressed in kind of amusing Scandinavian gear. And nearby, in a cage-like ball suspended from the ceiling, is Jewel, hey, and another Chiana, crying out to be eaten. The ogre's going to have my hide if I let you go without some molestation, Dargo says. He then trots over to the ball and jumps up and down and hangs on it. As John says, they don't want to kiss the princess. They just want to find a green door and get out of here. As Dargo watches, John and Chiana go through the green door on the wall. But just as John opens it, Dargo tongues Chiana down, so only John makes it through the door. And it must have worked, because John's back on the transport pod, and calms Dargo, who tells him that Scorpius has escaped, and there's a command carrier on the way. Dargo says there's also lots of bugs in Moya's systems, and they have not heard from Sikozu since the escape. Aaron adds that Pilot is losing control of critical systems, and Zhaan says they'll be there as soon as possible. He tries to wake up Chiana, but has to go back into the game to do so. So he appears right where he left and asks Dargo where Chiana is. She's too bony, probably tastes like fish. You don't want to eat her, he says. Joel screams out, how come nobody ever wants to eat me? As Zhaan uses another voucher ball, Stark is called up. His head appears under a platter cover nearby. Stark tells him that Chiana went through a door. So Zhaan goes up to the door, and it's an elevator actually. Stark tells him to mind the gap. Zhaan gets in, and a suited image of him appears on the TV screen. Zhaan asks to go where the gray girl went. Oh, the penthouse. Do you have an appointment? Says his image. Zhaan's annoyed by the TV Zhaan's behavior. TV Zhaan remarks, well, it's your funeral. So what brings you here? Business? Pleasure? The elevator stops and opens into an approaching Scarron, which Zhaan kills. Door closes. Elevator continues. TV Zhaan babbles around some more. Next stop is a Shay Yang breathing fire, which Zhaan also slays. So shout out to callbacks here. Finally, he gets to the penthouse where Scorpius is with the blonde Princess Erin. I knew it had to be you, Zhaan says, drawing his sword. But Scorpius is actually Harvey, has a huge nose, and is dressed in a butler's outfit.
Harvey!
Harvey! Harvey presents Zhaan to Erin, not realizing that she expects visitors. She tells Harvey in a lisping southern accent to let her master know they have a gentleman to visit. He's not the ogre? Zhaan asks. What, Harvey? Oh, heavens no. He's just an incorrigible liar. And a butler. So, can I help you find some place to sheathe that sword? She asks, with a wink. Erin says that her beast of a boyfriend is showing the gray girl around the place. She offers him a drink, which he declines. I only want Chiana, he says. Oh, come now, she replies, stroking his face. We both know that's not true. The ogre bursts in, and it bears a striking resemblance to Grace. He asks if John's here to kiss the princess and rants about Erin always redecorating. What is it with women and change, he asks. Chiana rushes in, and she and Zhaan leave as Erin berates the ogre for scaring all the visitors away. So Chiana and Zhaan leave the game and dock on Moya. So Dargo explains that Pilot's blind on tier 7 and 11. Erin says the DRDs are searching there. It's likely Scorpius is hiding in those blind spots. Dargo says the plan is to go hunt him down. Erin and Zhaan go off to search together. This is familiar, Zhaan says. What, the passageway? Erin asks. No, it's good to have you back. Dargo's also searching when suddenly he screams. Crichton, Erin, he's here! Pilot exclaims as Zhaan and Erin run to his den. Scorpius seals the pilot's den, so they have to use an access shaft to sneak in. Zhaan says it feels like a trap, but they go in anyway. As they approach Pilot, the DRDs open fire on them. Everything's finally under control, Pilot says. Scorpius steps out and tells them that Pilot's mind is now enslaved to his, using a neural harness. Remember that? Whatever happens to the master happens to the slave, he says. Zhaan says that Grace's command carrier is on the way, and Scorpius asks if John's feeling lucky. Erin suddenly knocks Zhaan to the floor and kicks him in the head. How rude.
Wow.
Zhaan wakes up in a cell, where Erin is standing watch over him. He thinks that Scorpius attacked her with a neural chip, but Erin says he doesn't consider the possibility that she was protecting Pilot. Well, that second boot to the head convinced me otherwise, Zhaan says. Scorpius appears behind Erin, who walks away. She's special, don't you think? Scorpius asks. He asks Zhaan if they should end this. He says that Zhaan resisted the Aurora chair, his neural clone, and all reasoned. Zhaan says that it's time Scorpius headed off and left him alone. You resist because you have hope, Scorpius says. Hope that your friends will save you. This time it will be different. One by one, I will extinguish all of your hopes, and little by little you will begin to see reason. Erin calms Scorpius to say they finally found Rigel. Zhaan goes to stab Scorpius, but can't, as if he harms Scorpius, he might also harm Erin too. Later, Janet whispers to Zhaan from his cell from a ventilation shaft. She says that she's got some game, so they go back into it. She says that Scorpius has control of the ship and has everyone and can hear everything, but not here in the game. Zhaan says they can't kill Scorpius, as to what happens to him happens to everybody else, so Zhaan decides he will throw Scorpius into the game. So back out of the game, Zhaan cuts his finger and starts writing wormhole equations with his blood on the floor. Erin asks what he's doing.
Sanitary, right?
Yeah, right. And he writes lots of equations too, so why didn't pass out from blood? Anyway, so Zhaan says he's doing what your master wants. Look, the only thing that keeps you alive in the secret is the secret you hold. The same is true for me. Zhaan points out that Scorpius is hearing all this. I know. I should never let you go, Zhaan says. So Zhaan gets Scorpius to come to his cell and tells him that he should recognize most of the floor. It's the wormhole equations. But what the equation lacks is a single unified symbol, which is under his left foot. Zhaan tells Scorpius to come and take it. So Scorpius enters, and Zhaan says that if anyone else enters the room, he'll spill enough blood to erase all the equations. You know, if you kill me, Scorpius begins. Oh, I don't think it's going to happen, Zhaan says. Not after all you've survived. Then again, I could get lucky, he says as he goes to stab Scorpius. Scorpius blocks him and has Zhaan by the throat when Zhaan throws him into the game, trapping him. And this time we kind of reboot from the beginning. Galena comes out and hides behind Zhaan, saying that Scorpius isn't supposed to be here. Zhaan pulls out his gun, but actually it's a banana. Oops. And Scorpius says that this world means nothing to him. He sees through its very existence. Meanwhile, Zhaan's having trouble breathing from being choked outside the game. Scorpius wonders if he dies, will Zhaan's mind carry on in the wormhole knowledge into the game? Aaron pulls him out of the game. He was killing you. I couldn't let that happen, she says. They leave while Scorpius is still trapped in the game. Zhaan asks what about the others, but Aaron says that they don't matter at all. She came back for him. I just want to be with you, she says. She kisses him, and he notices that something's wrong. He still holds the game vouchers. Does this mean it's over? Aaron asks. Zhaan calls Chiana and tells her they're still in the game.
No.
A door appears out of the thin air, and Zhaan says that Stark must have changed the door colors. Stark comes and says, this is all about you, John Crichton. You're far too sick to be allowed to run free in the universe. Mwahaha. No. Speaking through Scorpius, Stark continues that when Zhaan dies in the outside world, he will live on here, trapped in the game. So we go back to our little fantasy world. Zhaan wonders how he and Chiana might get out of the game. He uses his last voucher, and the evil Stark appears on TV. Crichton demands to know the endgame, so Stark replies, one hero's sword to set her free, one kiss upon her lips, so sweet. Thus ends your quest, thus ends the game, and thus your soul is saved. Zhaan says they have to kiss the princess, and angrily destroys the TV screen, saying if Stark wants to play, let's play. They go back to the male Zhaan, where Stark speaks through him. Zhaan asks how he did it. You did. You and that tragic brother, Stark says. Zhaan says, yeah, but this game has crap he couldn't possibly know. And Stark says it's crap that Zhaan gave him along the way. You talk so much, he says. Zhaan then realizes that's the reason why there's no Narenti or Sokozu in the game. Zhaan asks why plants love the light as Chiana turns on the van's headlights, distracting Zhaan so Zhaan can kill him. Then back down the garage they go to Rigel, Zhaan runs over in the van. So much for that.
Get some mileage out of that one.
Yeah. Roadkill Rigel. Yeah. They go back to Jewel and Dargo, and Zhaan asks what they're doing here. It's my turn, Jewel screams. The other Chiana's on the table, tied up and gagged, mumbling for attention. Zhaan asks his Chiana if this room seems too easy. She asks what he means. I mean, first time here, how did you make it through? Zhaan says. He then questions her about Aaron's secret, and she has no answer. So he realizes that she's the fake one. Zhaan knocks her out along with Jewel. He goes and unties the other real Chiana, who then whacks Dargo with a giant lollipop. Because
Sweet revenge.
why not? Chiana then says that Zhaan left her here for Orange. She could have died. They go back into the elevator, where the annoying TV John starts blabbing about asking for an autograph. Annoyed to death, John destroys the TV screen. They arrive at the penthouse. I'm here for the princess, John announces. I can see that. So romantic, Aaron exclaims. John begins fighting the ogre while Chiana takes on Harvey in a sword fight. As Aaron comments on the action, Chiana stabs Harvey as Aaron says, honey, the butler's dead.
No, not Harvey.
Not Harvey, we just got you back. John asks for Chiana's help against the ogre and his axe when Stark comes in. Chiana fights Stark, knocks him down, and as the ogre's about to get John, Chiana throws her sword at him, and John finishes him off. John goes to Aaron. Are you really John Crichton, she asks. We're going to be so happy together. John kisses her, and nothing happens.
Womp womp.
Stark suggests that maybe he has to do more than just kiss her. Maybe show her a really good time. Or maybe Chiana has to kiss her too. I love to watch, he says. She's not the princess, Chiana exclaims. Well, I'm not the princess you seek, but we can still have a really good time, Aaron says. Stark says that this is my world. You're just walking through it for a very long time. When your body is dead, your mind will live here with us to strut around forever. You poor player. John suddenly realizes what he has to do and jumps out of the tower window, allowing himself to be reset. So, back at the beginning, Crichton throws away his helmet and shield and goes inside. Stark, in the apparently never broken TV, asks, what are you doing, John? Crichton angrily responds that, yeah, it's Stark's world, and therefore the princess is his princess. Stark realizes that John knows who the real princess is. John goes to the male Zhaan. One hero's sword to set her free. Zhaan slices the male Zhaan in half, and out of the light comes the real, true Zhaan. Don't touch her, she's mine, Stark screams. Be silent, Stark, Zhaan says. Zhaan asks if it's really John Crichton, and he says, yes, and you're Zhaan for all that matters, she says. This Stark wishes to keep you here. He blames you. He believes I died for the love of you. Well, a lot of people have died because of me, John says. What is it that you wish for me, John Crichton? A kiss? Have you wasted my death and the deaths of so many others? I don't know, John says. Then I suggest you find out before anybody else dies for the love of you. She kisses him. Stark screams no, and the game finally comes to an end. John calms Dargo, who asks where John is. John says, well, yeah, what's up with Scorpius? We had a small problem with his door, but it's already sorted out, Dargo replies. And Chiana's just happy that the two of them aren't dead. Finally, back on Moya, John goes into the cooking room to see Naranti. Interesting day, she asks. They're all interesting, he says. This was more like confusing. And the warrior needs clarity, she replies. I'm not a warrior, John says. You carry a weapon, she says. John explains that it's Scorpius' war, not his. Thousands dead, billions of lives in the balance, but that's not the war I'm speaking of, she says. Aaron, the war of the heart. Always Aaron. I don't think too clearly when Aaron is concerned, John replies. Pain clouds judgment, she says, and offers something that, for a time, will help him forget the pain and forget about Aaron. John takes a piece of it. Please don't thank me, she insists. It's been 150 cycles since I felt for somebody the way you do for her. And finally, we cut to John walking down a corridor where Aaron sits on the floor. I hear I was a princess, she says. John just carries on, pausing only to briefly look at her before continuing on his way, leaving Aaron looking puzzled. The end.
The end.
And now, some marathon trivia, because this episode was full of guest stars and Easter eggs. First off, this episode was the second one written by Ben Browder. The first was Green-Eyed Monster, which was Season 3, Episode 8. The designs of the castle and the grounds are loosely based on the style of the PlayStation game Spyro the Dragon. Tim Ferrier used these designs as he felt it was a game John Crichton would have played. In a line cut during the editing stage, the ogre complained, "Only this morning she made me throw out a perfectly good television set." So
They should have left that one in.
yeah, that explains where that came from. And the parking garage scenes were filmed at the same Olympic Stadium location as the meeting between Crichton and Gary Regal in Won't Get Fooled Again. This meeting was originally scheduled in an enchanted forest, but due to budgetary constraints, that had to be scrapped and moved to the parking lot location. The male Zhaan, aka Big Zhaan, was based on the original concept of Forzoto Zhaan, which Zen would have been a big blue human man. Well, Delphian man. And speaking of blue people, Virginia Hay returns to the series as Zhaan, briefly. This time, though, she wore a bald cap for the appearance rather than shave her head. Oddly enough, or more importantly enough, her name was not listed in the opening credits to preserve the surprise, but back in the day, the Sci-Fi Channel promoted the return in advance of the episode's airing. Oops.
Oh.
Stark's sonnet that he recites includes all of the clues that Crichton and Chiana would need. Tammy McIntosh was partway through filming episodes of All Saints when she left Farscape. When she came back to this episode, after shooting her scenes, stated that she was not going to think too much about having baked beans for intestines in that one scene.
I guess we never really found out what Jewel was made of, right? So
Yeah, true. Ben added the sideways elevator and Arthur Dent references as a tribute to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, as its star Mark Wing Davey, who played Zaphod Beeblebrox, was the head of Browder's drama school.
but no towel.
No, no towel. You have to know where your towel is at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa Jane Cook reprises her role of Galena from season 1, episode 7, PK Tech Girl. And Lanny Tupu, Paul Goddard, and Tammy McIntosh reprise their roles of Grace, Stark, and Jewel in various forms, although unlike the others, Tupu is covered in heavy makeup. John's image in the elevator, nicknamed John Headroom, is a tribute to the 80s show and character Max Headroom.
And now I want a Coke. Pepsi?
Yeah.
Shoot, can't remember.
Coke, yeah.
Coke.
New Coke.
Oh, that's right. It was New Coke.
Stark's voice briefly comes out of Scorpius's body, partially because originally Paul Goddard was at the tryouts for Scorpius before Wayne Pygram was. Interesting. And finally, according to Claudia Black, she kept her princess accent a secret until filming, which caused Ben to break out into laughter on camera when he first heard it. All right, another long but wild episode. So what do you think, Jason? Is it kind of shades of Revenging Angel, but live action instead?
I'm not sure how to rate this one, to be perfectly honest. It had some really good highs, some pretty bad lows. Like I said, there's some good bits in there, and there were some spots where I just had to roll my eyes because it got maybe a little too far silly for my taste. I mean, it's one thing when it's their Looney Tunes; it's another when it's live action slapstick. But how about you?
Yeah, it had, obviously all those Easter eggs we just talked about. So I loved all that. Yeah, it was truly just like you're like, huh? 'Cause it's like you're in a fancy world, then suddenly you're in a parking garage. I'm like, but okay, sure, what the heck, go with it. It's a fantasy thing. I guess you can just mix and match, and to,
Well,
and to save budget money.
it had the base too, right? So it was all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a fun story, and it had some fake out moments, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So it was kind of, it kind of kept you guessing there for a little while, and lots of cameos and stuff, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, some things were, yeah, cringy, but yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. And yeah, so we open with the show with our like kind of lone serious scene, so before all the fun starts, where we continue the plot line of Sikozu getting all chummy with Scorpius. And
Eh.
yeah, apparently John's made a chess set somewhere along the way and must have at least taught Sikozu and maybe Scorpius because he didn't seem to not know what it was, how to play chess. I'm not really sure.
Maybe he got out of the Aurora chair. That was what he got, was how to play chess.
Yeah, maybe. And this does kind of play into the fake out later in the episode too. So, but yeah, it kind of builds on seriousness before we go off the rail.
Because where we're going, we don't need rails.
That's right. And then yeah, all the fun begins. So Chiana gets John into the game, but it's not a random simulation, not yet anyway. It's the Gimmick base that they destroyed and escaped back from in season one, and complete with Galena, who actually was in the final episodes there with the Gimmick base. She showed up again. John's love interest from season one, and the first of our many cameos in this episode. Stark and Scorpio show up, and then suddenly everything goes totally crazy, and we get into some weird live action abstract world where Chiana's like a jester, John's in his Don Quixote outfit, which was never mentioned directly, but I guess that's your unofficial episode name drop. So there you go. And I just did not expect it to go from serious gimmick based thing to off the wall abstract lollipop guild kind of thing. kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I struggled with this, is because they did kind of bounce back and forth between like gimmick base and sci-fi and being patterned after like, Farscape-ish stuff, right? That John and Stark would have based it on, and then flipping to the medieval video game esque stuff. So it did seem like a little like they couldn't make up their mind which type of video game they wanted to be in, which maybe it was intentional. I don't know. Uh, as far as the name drop, I think I think they missed out on an opportunity to make it more video game themed. Maybe they didn't want to give away too much, but yeah, I don't know. I think that title was wasted, and they could have used it elsewhere.
Yeah, because apart from the title, and he had a conquistador outfit on, which you might not have picked up on, then why would you have thought it was Don Quixote? Yeah, so
Right.
I,
You
yeah.
you could have just as easily went with a knight outfit, and I don't know, a hard day's night, something fun.
Yeah, a Black Knight. Yeah,
Well, you had that later.
yeah, we had that later. Yeah, so then yeah, things get completely off the rails, which of course I love when they do that sort of thing. See Revenging Angel and Won't Get Fooled Again, two of our favorite all-time episodes of Farscape we've covered so far.
Yeah, and won't get fooled again. Kind of put a high bar. So
Oh yeah, that was. They meet Stark again, who says that he's the guide of the game. He's also apparently the designer of it too, along with the dead twin to Crichton's memories that he absorbed back when that Crichton died. So hey, remember that back then? So there you go.
did Crichton not copyright his memories? That seems like some little infringement here.
Yeah, apparently in the replay later from Crichton to Crichton, he's not like, hey, by the way, Stark made a game off me, so get those royalties. No. And then of course he lays out the quest. He says the only way to get out is to kiss the princess or leave through a green door. So I guess thus begins our wacky Dungeons and Dragons quest, huh?
See, now that I would have loved. Make you be a serious take on the trapped in a D&D game, all of the animated D&D series or something. I don't know. That would have been entertaining.
Yeah, you could have had Rigel as what's the little kid with the going back to the DT cartoon.
I was thinking more like the unicorn.
Yeah, it could be that. It'd be the token pet
Uh-huh.
uni. Yeah, I think that was it, right?
Uni.
Yeah,
That was it. You nailed it.
yeah.
Yep.
Ah, the good old days when Saturday morning cartoons were a thing. Anyway, and yeah, speaking of just odd references here, I love the recurring Crichton in the TV acting and looking like Max Headroom. I've seen every episode of Max Headroom that aired in the U.S. I never saw the British versions back in the 80s, and I remember also Max Headroom appearing on David Letterman several times too. When Dave trying to interview him, which was just off the rails as you would probably imagine it would be. So, we get our further visual playback this time of John's fondness for pop culture references, this time embodied visually in front of you.
Yeah. That's one of the TV shows I missed, so I never really watched any of the Max Headroom TV shows. Like I said, all my references come from the Coke commercials. But yeah, you know, definitely made me want a Coke, as I said earlier. So it was a fun pop culture reference. I got it.
Yeah, I'll have to go check one of those websites that's, so it tells where you can stream stuff to see if Max Headroom's anywhere. So I have no idea. Now I'm
It's
curious.
probably just on YouTube.
Yeah, someone's bootleg YouTube channel. And then suddenly we cut to a parking garage, which again, okay, fine. Now it's budget constraints, but at the time I'm like, okay, we are now in a garage. But still, I guess I kind of fit with the overall insanity of what was going on. So, like, okay, sure, why not a garage? Okay. So we meet a male version of Zhaan, which we'll talk about here in a second. And of course, like I said in the recap, we have our Holy Grail homage with Rajo being the Black Knight, and just none shall pass. And then, John
It's
drops,
only a flesh wound.
yeah, John drops lines from the movie, which I know by heart because it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And because why not? He farts like a flamethrower. So I guess it's kind of shades of that one episode, maybe like early season one, right, where he eats the root that they make the oil for their guns, and he pees fire. But this time it's the other way around. So hey, callbacks, gotta love it.
I totally forgot about that, but you're 100% right on that one. I was too focused on the Gary Regal callback because I totally recognized that was the parking garage from that episode.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot that they were in a garage. But yeah, now that you're bringing it back, yeah, Gary Regal,
I,
dude, far out.
yeah, which was a missed opportunity to have that be Dargo's character because I would have just loved that to be what they brought back.
Yeah, because fortunately or unfortunately, they meet up with a different version of Dargo and Chiana, not our Chiana, and another cameo.
The other Chiana.
Yeah, the not Chiana. And another cameo, Jewel, she's back briefly. But yeah, I kind of prefer Dargo as Gary Regal, so it would have been hilarious if it would have been him again, because then John would have been like, "What?" So, but so he's just kind of being this odd. I'm not sure who he's based off of. I guess the recap said Hansel and Gretel, but I'm not that familiar with the story. I haven't read it in forever, so I don't know. But anyway,
Isn't that usually where the witch eats the people, not the people at the witches
yeah, so I guess he wants to eat Chiana and Jewel is because they're
who are
caged
dressed as
up.
witches?
Right. Which is, I guess, kind of shades, which I thought, the only thing I could think of was that Tom Petty video, I guess, Don't Come Around Here No More, where he was like doing the Alice in Wonderland theme, and they're like, Alice is like a cake, and they're eating Alice at the end there. So, but okay. I mean, it was odd and weird. Okay, fine.
Yeah, this was probably the biggest scene that never clicked for me. Like I said, I didn't. I would have preferred the Gary Regal or something. The Dargo character was just bizarre, and the other two characters as witches were just like, we don't know what to do with them, so we're just gonna stick them here. Like we want them in this episode, but
Yeah. It's like, okay, Tammy, let's put your makeup back on for like half an hour of work. Okay, thanks a lot for coming. I don't know.
right here, just hang out in this cage for a minute. Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah. And then here we get the start of our fake out, which gets more progressive here as it goes, where it looks like John did get out. Chiana didn't. And then he hears that Scorpius has escaped apparently, and Moya's going bonkers, haywire. But since Chiana is still, basically a zombie and stuck in the game, he's got to go back in to get her. So he goes up to the penthouse where the princess is there, because that's where Stark says she went. We get the Scorpius as the butler, which he's got some big nose, weird thing, and this weird outfit, and he's a butler. Sure, And he's Harvey. Okay, sure, cool. And then what I thought was hilarious, as soon as she started talking, when Aaron in that hilarious Southern lisp accent, I was dying, which I can see why Browder like burst out laughing when she's like doing that to him. So, and we get our yet another cameo, Craze, but this time he's an ogre, the princess's boyfriend. So, funny stuff so far.
Yeah, I had some eye rolling here too. I'll admit, but this is also where I started to figure out that they were doing the Inception fake out thing where he's never actually getting out because as soon as he came out of the game without Chiana, I was like, okay, maybe he's not out, and it progressed from there.
Yeah, and then the point where I started getting it, the rest of the fake out here, where they get out of the game, quote unquote, get back to Moya, where now Moya's basically the worst case scenario. Scorpius is taken over. He's maybe taken over for sure a pilot, but maybe other people in the crew too. Aaron just blindside cold cocks him, knocks him out, kicks him, puts him in the cell. I'm like, okay, that's not normal. Chiana sneaks in, tells John, hey, we can get, or they can get Scorpion into the game to keep him occupied, I guess, while they would try to, in theory, get out of the game and try to get control of Moya again. Seems that Scorpius knows how to do with VR way better than they do, so he kind of takes over the game world too. Oops. Great plan, but oh well, didn't quite work out. And I was kind of buying it at that point until Aaron pulled John out of the game, which John tried it several times with Chiana, and that didn't work. So I'm like, well, how did she do it? I'm like, okay, wait, I got it now. Okay, so that's the point where I'm like, okay, it's a game the whole time.
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, I suspected at the previous scene, but this definitely clinched it. Mainly for me, it was the way Aaron was acting because it was either going to be yes, they could do some of the neural whatevers, but I think it was going to be either that it was an Inception deal or that she was somehow controlled or possessed the entire time back to when they first came back this season. But that seemed unlikely. So yeah, I was going with a fake out.
Because yeah, I was like, how are they gonna pull off then taking back Moyo? Because they're running out of time. So I'm like, yeah. So then, after a while, I start to click that. Yeah, okay, that's a little too much going on in the episode. And then we finally get the reveal of what's really going on. So apparently Stark really has it out for Crichton. Yeah, not quite sure why exactly yet, but Stark's really mad at Crichton. Jump back to our fantasy world where they finally get up to the tower, kiss the princess, and get out. Maybe they blow through Zhaan and Rigel in the garage, get to Dargo. Okay, whatever, fine. They realize that Chiana has switched places with the real one, the fake one here, that's been with them since they got out the first time. So they deal with that crew, get back to the real princess, well, the fake, what they think's the real princess. They deal with her little bodyguards there. He kisses Aaron and nothing. And then Stark, appears and gloats, haha, you're gonna die here and your mind will stay here forever. And then they both realize that it's not the real princess, and then Crichton, I guess, totally knows what's going on and jumps out the window. So let's kind of stop there for a second. So what do you think about that section of the episode there?
Like you said, there's a lot.
Yeah,
So
a lot going on.
there's just too much. Let me sum up.
Yeah.
No, the, I can nitpick about Aaron's accent, and I tend to roll my eyes when somebody has a bad Southern accent, especially an intentionally bad Southern accent. So you know, I, I, yeah, okay. I got to admit, my favorite part of this whole thing for the fake out wise was the Gianna swap, because um, I don't know, I didn't see that one. Like, yeah, I thought I knew that they were trapped in the game. I saw the fake out when they went back to Moya, but I didn't realize it wasn't the real Chiana with him the whole time. So that was well done.
Yeah, because she kind of didn't really do anything to make you think she wasn't real. Like she wasn't sabotaging Crichton. She was going along with stuff.
She even
So
tried to get Scorpius into the game. So
yeah,
yeah,
I guess to further John thinking everything was going fine and whatever, maybe dying eventually or something. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we kind of wrap it all up here. So John's realized that that's not the real princess. Aaron, he knows who it is. It's Stark's princess, which is Zhaan. So he finally actually does what Stark's been telling him to do all along. Follows the hints, slices open the male Zhaan, and the female Zhaan appears, and it's the real Zhaan that we've known for 2.5 years before. Virginia Hay, makeup and everything, which was totally surprised me. I'm like, wow, it's her. Like I thought it'd be like a fake thing or whatever, but like, no, wow, it's actually Virginia. Wow. Okay. So,
Yeah, they really didn't have to even put her in the makeup. They could have had her human looking. It would have been fine,
mhm.
okay? Because it's just Stark's viewpoint. So
Yeah, she says Stark wants to keep him here because he thinks, she died for Crichton, which partially true is more like for the whole crew, not just Crichton, but effectively yes. So, but hey, Stark's bonkers, right? So that's what you get there. She kisses John, Stark freaks out, and they exit the game for real. Yay!
yeah, I didn't see the Zhaan part coming. I guess one of the benefits of not falling prey to the Sci-Fi Channel advertising back in the day is they didn't spoil it for me because I didn't I didn't know how they were going to get out of it by the time they realized they were inceptioned. So this was really well way to you know quickly work through all the puzzles and get out back to the real world. Plus one extra guest appearance. So well done.
Yeah, because I mean, to your point, I mean, the reason why she left was because the makeup and prosthetics was causing like kidney damage or liver damage. But anyway, causing organ damage, I guess, because of the makeup and whatever, because she was in it all the time. But apparently, I read that they were originally going to have her do like little guest spots here and there because she could do makeup like maybe like a little bit, like not 12, 18 hours a day, week in, week out for being a primary actor on a show. So, she can come back every now and then and do little bits. So, but yeah, I was totally surprised. I'm like, oh, cool. So
Right?
because we loved Zhaan back in the day. She was kind of the voice of reason, the voice of sanity with the rest of the
Yeah.
crew, and now
I,
they ain't got nobody.
I I would gladly trade Jewel and the crazy old lady for her back.
Hmm.
That would be fine.
And then we get back to Moya, where Scorpio's locked up. Just a slight door problem. Sakozu? Question mark. And John and Naranti are discussing things, and she says it's all due to the war of his heart over Aaron. Okay, yeah, we know all that. And she gives him something to make him forget the pain in Aaron. I'm like, come on, not again. Are we doing this really? Stop. Just please
Ev-
stop.
Evidently, we're doing it again.
Yeah. And then maybe we're led to believe that when John walks past Aaron in the hallway, she's trying to make some small talk with him, and he's kind of ignores her and walks on by. So did he take the stuff? Did he not? I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm like, please just stop. Can we stop this already? It's getting old, and it's only 7 episodes into the season, but it's like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah. So next episode on the Young and the Restless. I mean the yeah. I agree.
As the Leviathan turns, yeah.
Oh, that's even better. I couldn't come up with anything good there on the spot. So well done on that one. I was trying to figure out. I was actually looking for a Bold and the Beautiful reference, and I couldn't make it. So General Leviathan or something like that. I don't know. Way too many soap operas with my grandparents growing up. I agree. I want him to wrap up the John Aaron thing. I think I've said that ad nauseum, and to be honest, I'd like to see more about. Let's skip that junk and get on with Sikozu and what's going on with her, right? Because that's way more interesting. That's the puzzle that I want them to pay attention to right now. So
Yeah, because there's stuff going on that we never seen that you were thinking could be one thing or the other. So yeah, they're kind of making that the big mystery of the season so far, and they're kind of slow rolling it, which is fine because they got another four. No, I got another what? 15 episodes to go. So yeah, okay, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
yeah, there's slow rolling it and then or slow burning it, and then there's we already threw water on it 10 minutes ago and it's only slightly smoking. Let's move a little bit.
Yeah, so let's just get over the will they won't they with Aaron and John, and let's progress that some more here, please. All right, so that was a interesting episode. Anything else that we kind of didn't talk about with all the weird stuff going on? I think we kind of covered most of it.
Yeah, I guess the only go back I'd have is we glossed over it a little bit, but I loved the fact that it was Harvey in the chamber as the butler, not Scorpius, not anything else. They actually called it out as Harvey, and that made me smile.
Yeah, so we kind of got like basically every character we've ever seen in the show that was a mainish character came back in this episode.
Yep. Actually, technically, you got Scorpius on one level and Harvey on another one.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, we got John's former love interest, so she's there. I guess maybe to try and sidetrack him from Aaron and the princess or whatever. If they would have stuck in the gimmick based thing, you kind of wonder what would have happened. Like, how was that supposed to end? But we got like 2 quick scenes of that, and it's like back to weird lollipop world or whatever. And yeah, like why? I guess one final thing, like why would Stark go to all that trouble, and how would he have known that John would have ever gotten into the game in the first place? So if you think about it, it doesn't really work. So don't think about it. But
No,
but I but I am
there's
thinking about it now. So
yeah, there's a lot that doesn't work on this one. That included, plus the fact that, you know, uh, is this something they're going to keep in mind the next time? I'm assuming Stark shows up again at some point, right? So, uh, are they going to just gloss over the fact that this happened and he's got this video game business, going on the side? Like, is Stark some kind of rich video game mogul out there, making millions off of video games? I don't know. Now it's like weird.
so you're saying Stark's now Mark Zuckerberg? He's got his
What
Meta.
would his version of the metaverse be?
All
Yeah, I
right.
was trying to think like Stark Stark Enterprises. No, wait, that's taken.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Stark Tower. No, don't.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for John when if they see Stark again to like walk up to him and he'll still have his mask because Stark gave it to him and then like just whack him with it. Yeah,
Right?
like you son of a. Smack him. But yeah. All right. So next time on the podcast here, we will cover, oddly enough, season 4, episode 8, which follows episode 7. I shrink, therefore I am. So playing our usual guessing game of what does that mean? Yeah. I'll just go with the obvious. Some or all the crew get shrunken down to smaller sizes, and hijinks ensue. I really have nothing else to go with that title.
Totally missed a chance to go with Honey, I Shrunk the Crew.
Yeah, maybe that's too close to the copyright. They can't get sued by was it Disney? Who did it?
Yeah, I was say, do you think Disney has it that locked down? That's Disney. Never mind. Take it back. I take it all back. Don't sue me,
Yeah.
please.
Of course, now they own the Henson? Well, they own the Henson Company, right? So
Most of it.
yeah, so of course not 20 years ago they didn't. So yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I guess that's all we got. So I'm assuming it's shrinking people because why mention the word shrink? So but
Unless it's, Freudian slip.
yeah, no, let's just go shrinking because that's
Well,
sometimes
I was.
sometimes they're that obvious. So let's just go. Unlike Don Quixote, which he would have
Right. Yeah.
not have.
That one's right out there.
Yeah, that was right there. Oh yeah, of course, that's Don Quixote. Yeah, I don't know. So. And yeah, so it'll probably just like we said before, probably just be the only thing we cover next time is Farscape, since I think the next thing up would be the Agatha All Along from Marvel slash Disney, which is mid-September. So I think we'll be out just before that, which is
Yeah, we
probably
should have.
good because we'll have more to talk about than like 2 episodes of
Yeah,
that next time.
we'll
So
probably try to do our split, right? And we'll see how that goes. So,
yeah, I think it's what 9 episodes, I think they said.
well, maybe we'll do quarters then.
So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll see how they release it. They might do like 1 or 2 in the beginning to get you into it, and then do like weekly. We'll find out. I don't know, but next time for sure Farscape, and then after that some Farscape and Agatha. So, but your homework next time is just 1 episode of Farscape. That's it, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
I've got it. Stark Trek.
There we go.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.